Hello, and welcome back to The Beat on The Citizen. I am Joanne Moita, and I'm here with Juif Joseph, talking all things film, New York, and more. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit? Just give the people a taste of who you are.
Okay, my name is Juif Joseph. I'm an East African filmmaker, a director and editor and colorist. I have worked in the filmmaking space for the past 2 to 3 years, give or take. I have worked on feature films, reality TV shows, short films, commercials, and a music video here and there just to
Wow.
pay the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds impressive, but that's like just
To pay
the
the
bio,
bills.
yeah, just to pay the bills. But yeah, I am a filmmaker that is deeply rooted in telling stories about the everyday person. I really love it when I watch films that talk about general life. I tend to call them rites of passage.
Okay.
So if it's just everyday events or like maybe I'm a bus conductor.
Yeah.
So in short, yes, that's me.
That's
Yeah,
you.
in a nutshell, yeah.
Nice. So you've been very, very busy, huh? So can you tell us a little bit about your trip to New York and what are the first three things that went through your mind when you first landed in the Big Apple?
Okay. Okay. First three things. I think first and foremost, I was surprised by how suddenly cold it got because I went
Oh,
during the winter or at the
okay.
end of winter
From Dar es Salaam.
from Dar es Salaam. So you can
I
imagine the contrast.
understand.
Yeah. So I think first things first, I was surprised by how cold it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then another funny thing, I actually haven't shared this with anyone. I was received by most of the people that were at JFK were actually Spanish speakers. So I thought, did I land in the wrong country? Because they
Yeah.
were like speaking
You're
Spanish
like,
to me. And I was like, what's going on?
yeah.
And then third, I was really hungry. So I was like super excited to get something to
The
eat.
food.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know like labels from like films, maybe
Yeah.
Chipotle or whatever. So I was like, oh, I'd really
You're
like
like,
to go to like a
yes.
big brand and say, oh, I had a Chipotle. So I think those are the first three things that came to my mind after I
Yeah.
landed.
That's very interesting. So, cold. Am I even in the right country? And of course, big back activities.
Yes.
Nice. I love it. So, you call this experience transformative, right?
Yeah.
What was the biggest transformation that you personally went through while you were abroad?
Oof. In short, I would say as a filmmaker,
Yeah.
being in such an intensive environment where you have to think of ideas, be on the move. I understand it's the same here as well with
Yeah.
time constraints and budget constraints, but this was like a drastic switch
Yeah.
from the lifestyle that I have back at home to being on sets and having to come up with stories and having to collaborate with filmmakers who some of whom don't even speak English.
Yeah.
So you have to like be able to communicate with people who speak different languages, be able to come up with interesting ideas,
Yeah.
be able to be open to criticism as well, which
Yeah.
is I think is still a big challenge of mine
Yeah.
because I want to attach myself to my work and be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the best. And then when someone tells you, no, something's wrong here, you're like,
Yeah.
oh.
So,
So
close to the ego a little bit.
it really is, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I think that was it. And also just being in a new space as
Yeah.
well made me think about my filmmaking spirits.
Yeah.
Because I think most people come into this art with this drive of okay, these are the types of stories that I want to tell.
Yeah.
And then when the boots hit the ground,
Yeah,
you
like,
the reality hits you and now
yeah.
you're swaying from left to right.
Yeah.
So I think the transformation is more of me going back to why I started filmmaking, or rather why I started a career in the filmmaking space,
Yeah.
and kind of refuel the fire within me to keep up the drive and to keep wanting to tell these stories.
That's so awesome. So you talked about working with a bunch of different people, some people who didn't even speak English and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So as a filmmaker, working with people from all over the world, how would you say they've kind of poured into your cup of, or have added onto you in your creative process?
I would say that working with different types of people from all over the world has really changed my perspective of how much I overthink things first. Because in the perfectionism sense of like, okay, everything has to be extremely right before it happens. But then I worked with a filmmaker a DOP from Ghana,
Yeah.
who was like a shoot and go type of person.
Yeah.
And you would assume maybe there were mistakes, but no,
No, like,
the
don't
product
think
was,
it too much.
yeah, he's like, okay, let's go. What do you have to do next? Also, there was a writer from Japan who was like really proficient in coming up with, she had this tactic of like working on coming up with her stories,
Yeah.
which she told me it's like intellectual property, so I can't share right now with you
Oh,
guys.
no,
But it's a
no,
really
no.
nice
Yeah.
tip. It's like a
Give
way
us
you
like a little, without giving everything away, like in your own words, so it's not intellectual.
Okay, so let's say in short, in summary, she said, think of your protagonist first and think of what they want to get.
Okay.
I know it seems very much on the nose, but
Yeah.
once you build off of that, if you use the approach that she uses, it's so much easier for you to come up with a story or come up with an idea.
Yeah.
Let's say on the go, if you needed to like submit a story and then you need like an idea, you can just use that formula.
Yeah.
So a protagonist wanting something and then having a hard time to
Build
get
up.
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what you learned basically is that start simple and build on that.
exactly.
All
In
right.
summary, yeah.
That's awesome. So I've read up a bit about you, right? And from what I've gathered is you shot 16 short films in over 8 weeks. That's crazy.
No,
How did you go about that? Like, how was that for you?
well, it was, shit.
I bet hectic, right?
I don't know if you can tell, but like I still have the
PTSD.
effect right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sleepless nights,
Mm.
it's long hours of discussion,
Yeah.
it's push and pull.
Mm.
Because there's a saying that gold is made, rather, gold is refined through heat. I
Oh.
probably butchered that, but something around those.
Isn't it diamonds are made under pressure or something?
Oh my goodness, thank you for correcting me. Yeah, I think it's diamonds are made under pressure.
Yeah.
And that was the scenario as well, because we had very limited time
Yeah.
and we had a lot of information being poured onto us at like on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And we had to come up with ideas on short notice and be able to find locations, find actors. I would say the experience did remind me as well how intense the filmmaking space is, even back at home.
Of course.
Being able to get funds, being able to secure funding, being able to get actors, locations, being able to actually complete your project.
Pitching ideas and people actually like you.
Exactly. Like having an idea. I think most people don't know the difference between saying, oh, I have this amazing idea versus I actually finished the idea. So the journey
Yeah.
between conceptualizing something to actually finishing it
Yeah.
is filled with so many troubles. And you need to be able to believe in your idea so much to be able to push through.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've rambled on. Please remind me the question again.
The question was, you shot 16 short films in the span of 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, how was that on you? And you've said that it took quite a mental toll on you and
It
there
did.
was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Which is very understandable, but at the end of the day, were you able to accomplish what you wanted to do, you know?
I did. And I made lasting friendships as well. Because the
Wow.
long nights, being in a collaborative type of career, filmmaking isn't made by one person. You need other people to work with you. So the people that I collaborated with, my fellow filmmakers, I consider them friends for life.
Awesome. And with that friendship, it made life a bit easier, I'm sure.
It did, yeah.
I can imagine how hard it would be to work with your enemies, you know? So, during these long hours of work, are there any skills or techniques that you've picked up, for example, framing or sounds or camera angles that have kind of changed your approach in filming, like your own movies and films and stuff?
Yeah, I did. There's so many.
Yeah. Give us 3 that you
Okay.
want to work with from
Okay.
now. Yeah.
All right. All of them, I would say, subject to the situation,
Yeah.
like all factors considered constant. I would say, for example, I learned my cinematography teacher was called New Tillman. I forgot his first name. Tillman. I
If
apologize.
you're watching this, Mr. Tillman, we're sorry.
But he taught me a very nice skill of just adding a smoke machine to almost every shot.
Ooh,
And I know
okay.
it's like an aesthetic type of thing, but it did elevate his shots to kind of make them look so much better than, because he said digital cameras, because he's a cinematographer who started shooting on film back in the day. So he claims that when he was in the field at the time, things were like, he felt like films were more cinematic than they are right now, and they feel more digital because of the digital cameras that are coming out. So adding in extra things like smoke machines and lens flares sort of help make a film feel more cinematic versus like
elevated.
more elevated. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
And then another thing that I learned, I would say, off the top of my head, motivated camera movements. Because sometimes I used to just place cameras and like, okay, if a subject is moving, okay, I'm just moving with them. But what's the reason for the movement? What's the purpose of the movement?
Okay.
I don't want to get too technical, but let's say I have a couple of things in mind that I keep on, that I have now in my, let's say, back drawer of tips and tricks that I would like to use in my next project.
All right. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Now, I really hope I don't butcher this name, but if I do,
It's
please come
okay.
to my rescue.
No
So
worries.
tell us a bit about the workshops that you attended with Steve Buscemi.
Yes.
Buscemi and Andre Royo. What are some of the nuggets of wisdom that they distilled upon you?
The workshops that I had with Steve Buscemi were very informative.
Yeah.
Knowing
He's been
him,
in the industry for a while.
yes,
right?
he has. I actually first saw his work on Reservoir Dogs by Quentin Tarantino, and I was like, okay, this guy is an amazing actor. And when I heard about the workshop, I was like, I have to be here for sure.
Yeah.
So he's one of the tiny let's say nuggets that he gave us during this workshop was most of the times it's not as serious as you think it is. So let's say like in these big Hollywood production films that he's been a part of, it usually takes a long time and it's like this very big scary thing that most indie filmmakers feel like, okay, I can't break into this filmmaking space because oh, I need a Hollywood budget, or I need some sort of like serious crew. But he had actually finished shooting with I'm probably gonna forget the name of the director, but there was a project that he was working on, which was an indie project. And in this project, he was working pro bono. He worked because he believed in the director, and she stood for the values that she believes in as well. So he said most of the times it's just about you taking yourself out there. And even if him as a big actor, he loves to work with indie filmmakers because it's the collaborative effect as filmmakers that sort of build us that build the industry upwards. It's not, oh, I'm a big shot, I only work on big budget productions.
Gotta support the little
You,
people.
yeah,
Yeah. That's how we grow.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I can think of off head right now.
And what about Andre?
Andre Royo was actually pretty interesting. I got the chance to speak to him on a one-on-one. I pitched to him an idea.
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing. I think I wanted him
Hey,
to.
when the opportunity shows up, when the opportunity comes knocking, you open
You
the
have
door
to
with both
exactly,
arms,
yeah.
okay?
I mean, yeah. So his take was mostly just never giving up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it sounds also very cliche, but it's something maybe most filmmakers want to hear, but actually, I mean, need to hear, but don't realize that they actually
The
need to hear
importance
this.
of it,
Yeah, because it's a tough ground. So, you'll be given a lot of no's, you face a lot of challenges, but you're as good as your last project, and you're one step away from your big break. Exactly.
That's very true. You're always one step away from a big break.
It is.
Now, let's talk New York, right?
Okay.
Let's talk about all the sites and places that you've been. Out of all the sites and places that you've been, have there been any specific locations that you've been like, wow, this is really making me feel the movie magic effect, or like, I would really want to film here one day? Is there like any highlights of the trip?
Okay. I think it's hard to sum it up,
Yeah.
but I'll try.
Yeah.
Let's say almost every other corner that I went to it felt really interesting. It felt like a scene from a film. It felt like, I don't know, I felt excited by every new thing. It was like it was a culture shock every other second. Because I visited the Statue of Liberty. I went to Times Square, the usual touristic sites, and those were really fun.
Yeah.
But then some of my classmates were New Yorkers, and they were like, "Oh, I know this really nice place in Koreatown." So we'd go for like tiny experiences, like karaoke, or we'd go to like a sushi restaurant. So it's a collective of experiences. I took a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I didn't take pictures in Times Square, of which I know it's hard to believe because I'm like, it's.
Maybe you were so immersed in the moment.
I
that
kid you not,
forgot.
I was. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is like overdrive. Like my senses all over
You
the
were
place.
like a little kid in a candy shop.
It honestly
and
was.
New York City was your whole candy shop.
It was my playground.
You did not let those 8 weeks go to waste. I love it. You were working hard, but playing.
I was
just as
playing hard as well.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So, did you have a chance to visit the Museum of Moving Images?
Yes, I did.
And did you feel the history of film? Did it inspire you? Did it make you like give you a deeper understanding of the history of film and stuff?
Yes, it did.
And what stuck out the most to you in the whole exhibition?
Okay, the exhibition was grand as well. I got there pretty late, so I didn't have enough
African
time.
timing.
It's so sad. I didn't have enough time to actually view the whole place, but the little time that I had,
Yeah.
I managed to go to some of the sections that just speak about the history of entertainment
Yeah.
from the perspective of the Muppets. I don't know.
Oh
As a
yeah.
child, I grew up watching Sesame Street,
Yeah.
and I remember I just knew it as a show, but I didn't know
There
that
were
there was a
puppets.
whole category,
Yeah.
of like cartoons or these tiny Muppets
Yeah.
that are like, other than Sesame Street, there were other shows. I don't remember the titles, but it also kind of made me think, oh, we don't have like a Muppet show in Tanzania,
Yeah.
and it would be like really interesting content for children, for
would be.
adults as well. So I would say, I think I learned mostly that the industry takes time to evolve, and it evolves in all different ways. And we shouldn't look at entertainment as just TV and
Here
film.
and now, yeah.
Yeah, it morphs in cartoons, in Muppets,
Yeah.
in the little tiny stop motion animations.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe it's as broad as it can be. Exactly. Yeah.
Now, this is just going off script, just out of my own curiosity. Music videos, can you like put them in the same category as films in a way?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Because they're stories as well.
Yeah.
I have with the music videos that I've been a part of,
Yeah.
when you speak to the artist as a creative, you're supposed to ask them, well, what's your message? What's your video supposed to communicate? What message do you want to communicate to the public? So it could be a narrative. It could be, okay, one day I woke up and fell in love with this girl. So in a way, they're like short stories that sort of are engulfed in like with this beats and like nice people dancing at the end.
That is, you know what? I'm so glad I asked that question because you kind of put a whole new perspective on music.
It is, yeah.
So let me ask you a question, which I have been doing this whole time. Let me ask you another question.
Okay.
Are there any story ideas that you've come up with while in your time in New York? While in your time in New York that you are so excited to bring back home and start working on?
Yes, I do have story ideas. Funny enough, I have like a tiny app on my phone where I jot down ideas because you never know where inspiration comes from.
Yeah.
But one that I'm working on right now that I plan on pitching, confidentially, just a little bit.
Just a little glimpse.
Yeah, it's a story about an experience that I had while I was in high school in Uganda.
Okay.
We used to have like a system where when you speak vernacular, they would punish you.
Yeah.
They would give you like a sack that you would wear, and
Oh
this
my
would be like a
God.
system of shame. You would walk around with it. So it's a story sort of around my experiences as a child that I think when it comes up to the screen, it would relate with so many people because when I pitched it to a couple of people, they were like, well, it's not just you. We also experienced something similar. So I think I'm pretty excited to work on
It
it.
will be relatable.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
so fun.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as we're wrapping up this interview, is there any words of wisdom from you that you'd like to give young African filmmakers who are aspiring to be where you are today? Like, is there anything that you'd like to tell the people, tell the masses?
Okay.
They have to be wise words. So take your
Wise
time.
word. Thank you. If I'm to say something to someone aspiring to be a filmmaker or who is in the film industry right now, I would say it doesn't take much to start.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy to stay in it, and it takes even more of your energy to finish. Our industry is pretty young.
Yeah.
We have so much investment from big players like MultiChoice and DSTV currently promoting local content. So doors are opening up and opportunities are out there.
Yeah.
There's a notion of it's like so many words. Let me just summarize it. If you step outside your comfort zone, you realize how many opportunities there are out there. For example, like the MultiChoice Talent Factory on my end as well. All it took for me was to just send my application.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I would get in. I wasn't sure if everything would work out. But at the end of the day, I ended up tapping into something that I dreamt of since I was a young child. And ended up having the opportunity to study at the New York Film Academy, all because I stepped outside my comfort zone and did something scary or something that I considered scary at the time. So step outside your comfort zone and try new things. Tell different stories. People want to know things about, like, people want different experiences. So try your luck and you never know what would happen.
In the wise words of Juif Joseph, your next step could be success. You should
Exactly.
coin that. You should coin that for real before I steal it.
Patent pending.
Yeah. So I've had a pleasure interviewing you, and I've learned so much from this interacting with you. And I am so grateful that you were able to come out here and give us your feedback on your big time at the Big Apple.
Thank you.
And I wish you very much more success, you know.
Thank you,
It's
John.
you.
It was a pleasure to meet you too.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for having this interview.
Of course,
Okay.
anytime.
Have a good one.
And welcome back anytime. For more exciting coverage and articles, don't forget to stay tuned on the season. I am Joanne Mita, and see you here as much as I can.